It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z. Garcia.
Hey everybody, today I am taking a look at sugar gliders. In this one, you are of course a sugar glider and you're jumping around from branch to branch trying to get the most fruit, and at the end of the game, if you got the most fruit, you win the game. It's a pretty abstract looking game, abstract playing game really, but it's a very simple one. Let me give you a look at how it works, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you what I thought of this one. I tend to like abstract, so will I like this one? Let's find out. The first thing you'll do is set up the board. You have to decide if you're going to play on this side or the other. This is 3 or 4 players. The other side is for 2 players. It's a smaller board. And then you put out all these tiles randomly face up on all of the spots here. And you're ready to begin. Everybody has their little sugar glider. The objective of the game, of course, is the most victory points. And every one of these tiles has between a 1 and a 5. And that's how many victory points it is at the end of the game. To begin, everybody from the start player on is going to take their sugar glider and place it on a 1 out there somewhere. So I could go here, this player could go there, let's say here, and let's say here. Now, from now on, you have one of 2 options. You can jump, or you can go into a torpor, which is a word I don't like, so I'm just going to say a rest. You can jump or you can rest. When you jump in a straight line away from the spot where you are, as far as the number on which you're sitting, and after that you take the tile from which you left. So, 1, I could jump this way, and then take this tile and keep it in front of me. I now have 1 point. Okay? The other option is you can rest. If you rest, you stay where you were, and you take a tile that was underneath you and you just go into a rest. You can also rest even if there is no tile underneath you, which is basically skipping a turn, okay? Once you are ready to jump and you are standing on a spot that is empty, the way you jump is by discarding any tile you've got in your supply. And so you're giving up those victory points, but you are also hopefully having a lot of flexibility as to where you end up. The 5-point tiles are, of course, worth much more than the others, but they also limit where you can move. So oftentimes you'll find yourself having to go into a rest on that spot to then be able to jump off of it with a smaller number that you've previously taken, okay? If you ever end up in the center of the board, you can discard any tile to go anywhere in the configuration here. And I should also mention that when you jump in a straight line, the other sugar gliders do block your path, so you cannot jump over or into the space of another sugar glider. That's basically it. And so, same thing here. Green could jump over here and take that. This player could jump over here and take that. And then back to me. I'm standing on a 4. I could not jump this way because there's a sugar glider in my way. I cannot jump this way because there's not enough spaces. 4 would be outside the configuration. And so as you can see right away, larger numbers are very hazardous. And so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 over here, take the one from which I left, score it, and this is going to continue until everybody goes into a rest in a row, or all of the tiles from the setup here are taken. At that point, you count up the tiles you still have, so everything you've taken and that you did not expend to jump from a space that was empty, and then whoever's got the most points is the winner of the game. So let me start off with the bad here, and really it's not that much. The only negative I have about the game is that I wish the board was a little lighter so that the tiles would pop on it a little more, and it would just be a little bit more visually appealing, a little easier to tell when a tile is missing. It's not really much of an issue, but it could have been done a bit better, I think. I just contrast between the tiles you put out there and the background of the board. They're so similar that when it's gone, you just have to sort of focus on it a little more than I wish you'd have to, you know. Other than that, this game is fantastic. This game gives me everything I've liked in games of its ilk. It feels like Battle Sheep, which Blue Orange put out. I think this is better than that. There's more game here. It feels like Hey, That's My Fish, one of my favorites from a while ago. I mean, I've had that game for a long time. It's a very similar idea. I think there's more game here. This is more tactically rich. You have to consider more in this game. You know, and Hey, That's My Fish, you're bouncing around to grab tiles that have 1, 2, or 3 fish. And that's how many points you get. The scores are tighter because that difference between the tiles is less. In this one, I was kind of worried at first. I thought, oh, okay, the tiles go all the way up to 5. That means 2 5s are better than 9 other tiles potentially. But that's not really right because the 5s are so... They're worth 5 points, but it's so hard to move off of them without wasting a turn burning, you know, just like resting, and then burning a tile to move off, which is at least a 1. So you really just made 4 points over 2 turns, not 1, right? And I really like that. It's a very, very clever game. So this one kind of came out of nowhere to really impress me. Scales well, is thinky, but it's cute. It's got that great appeal with the little sugar glider minis. They're very well done. Just a fantastic game, really. Sugar gliders, if you are into that style of abstract, which is, you know, abstract games with then a theme on top, and typically a cue theme, Battle Sheep, Hey, That's My Fish, that type of thing, then I think this is one you are going to really dig. Definitely look into it. Sugar Gliders is a fantastic design and pretty well done, except for a couple of graphical hiccups that I personally have with it. I think it's a very well done game. Definitely look into it. Sugar Gliders, thumbs up from me.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.